best music. The coolest way to start the weekend.
Changes or yes come to an end. But every institution, every kingdom, one way or the other. Remember the kingdom of Babylon, remember the Roman kingdom, remember the kind of Egypt. You remember that of the British colony, the kingdom, United Kingdom of Great Britain, and everything that they did. There's a point where they raise the time that bow out when the time is out, and then someone else takes the race. When it comes to God, as the song says, his kingdom never comes to an end. That is from Pastor Chodora Wache and Sam of Chodora Gospel, and that's a nice tune. Friday edition of the morning show, and I have the singular honor of once again welcoming my brother and colleague, Mr. Reliable Quality, on the morning show. And let's say, Yomi, good morning.
Well, a very beautiful good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world. And once again, welcome to the final day of the week on the Starr Radio UK, the morning show, the update, the news, the global news. But again, as the weekend is just around the corner, we will be giving you what needs to be known just before we go into the full weekend, as we have so many other programs that are lining up as well. But for now, I will return back again to you in the studio. If there is a lot of noise outside, I know you might not be able to see the full clear picture, but I'm actually sitting, outside, and that is where the noise might be a little bit, fluctuating into the program. But while you were saying, what you need to put on, especially with the weather, I decided maybe I should just come outside rather than stay in, as the cooking is also going on. And you can tell when the cooking is going on, it brings a lot of heat as well. But for now, it's quite quiet. Maybe one or two emergency vehicle, and the time is just 7 minutes past. And the reason why it's quiet right now is because everyone has gone to one place or the other, and those that have returned back home from the night duty are also sleeping, preparing for the night shift. But apart from that, I could see a few individuals walking. I could see the buses moving. Once again, this is what happens for the benefit of those that want to know how the operations happen in UK. It's almost the same thing anywhere, but for now, I'll return back again to you in the studio.
Listeners, for this already, you can tell you assuredly that that's how the institutions work. Everything is taken along nicely. Going up between the streets are doing this, the police are doing this, the health services are doing this. Yeah, there are short calls. We're not saying that, but at least you know that the institutions are working. Therefore, things will be tackled. But how have you been? And how has the family been abroad?
Well, it's the first weekend after the school resume back, and that literally means that there will be more things ahead to be done, to prepare the weekend. But apart from that, I'm doing very well, and it's good to be with you again. And just as I say, and I hope Frank is doing very well as well on the other side of the globe.
Yes, yes, hopefully, hopefully. All right, then, let's start ready. You'll get the Friday edition of the morning show. Updates from Nigeria, which is on live now. I'm not going to see what's on here in South USA. All right, it's out. So let's start it. Now, tribunal attachment. The APC are lampooning Atiku and Obi and the petition attack on INEC. Now, does the APC want to say that INEC's performance was above water? That's something that everybody can clap for them that they did very well, or under the circumstance where we are, I mean, it's like the best that we want, so we have to take it. Go.
I listened to Peter Obi yesterday. It was out just like I remember we told you that Atiku also had a press statement, and I'll be telling you more about both of them as we have it right now. Atiku, has already said the same thing. The election tribunal is not working. Atiku didn't congratulate Tinubu yet, just as they haven't done so in the past as well. But let's hear from where Peter Obi started from this morning.
Finally delivered his long-awaited judgment on petitions challenging the outcome of the presidential election held on 25th of February 2023. This judgment was delivered within the statutory time frame under the extant status. We acknowledge the court's contributions to due process and seeming attempt to strengthen our democracy. As petitioners in this case, we respect the views and ruling of the court, but we disagree with the court's reasoning and conclusions in the judgment it delivered. It is my intention as the presidential candidate and the intention of Labour Party to challenge this judgment by way of appeal immediately as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, that is, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party speaking outside Anambra, where he's currently. And just as he was doing that, Atiku also went ahead and said, Atiku have rejected the presidential tribunal verdict for the Supreme Court. I have asked my lawyer to activate my constitutional guaranteed right of appeal to the higher court, which is in the instance is the Supreme Court. He went further to say that Atiku, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, has rejected the verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal (PEP) that has now affirmed that the President Bola Tinubu victory at the February 2023 poll. While the court on Wednesday threw out Atiku's petition, he went further to say, the gentlemen of the press, I take a great pain to tell you that the decision of the court of the first instance on the matter utterly falls short of expectation. That means, whatever the outcome of the 5 judges, Atiku Abubakar is not pleased with such. I have refused to accept the judgment because I believe that it is bereft of substantial justice. However, the disappointment in the verdict of the court can never destroy my confidence in the judiciary. So that literally means that Atiku still believes in the judiciary, but it seems that the tribunal judgment, the APC is now lampooned Atiku and Peter Obi for attacking INEC. The All Progressive Congress yesterday slammed the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party, Peter Obi, for criticizing the verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal (PEP) that has now upheld President Bola Tinubu that is currently at the G20. I'll be telling you some of what is happening there as the preparation is now at the final gear as the first president to arrive at the G20 in India. But this happened as Atiku and Obi continue to attack the Independent National Electoral Commission over the conduct of the poll. This is Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I will come back again to you now in the studio.
Well, listeners are already UK. Mr. Lally working on enough time yesterday, so much we are looking at updates from Nigeria. But interestingly, you and I mean, two times that will come on air that you put a copy of an election sheet or report that showed figures that people have used pens to cancel and then check, and you ask yourself, this is just a simple mathematics. It's not even mathematics, it's just arithmetic. Okay? Addition and subtraction. There maybe because this addition that we are doing there. So how come that nobody about the people who are working or who were in those particular police stations or the police centers are that gaps that they couldn't add figures and if they couldn't add figures when they have calculated so somebody saying that if INEC we want to say that INEC actually did a good job. Then this is something people are talking about. I don't know whether whatever those reports like that, whether it went in favor of the opposition or went in favor of the APC. I don't know about that. But what I'm trying to say, whatever performance that the INEC put across was unique experience. Yeah.
Well, you're quite right. I mean, we've witnessed and we've seen election conducted around the world. We've been part of the observer where, right here in the UK, when the election is conducted, we see the counting going on and then the results are announced just less than 24 hours. And sometimes if there's a very tight, position in some of those areas, it could take a couple of days. I think, from what has played out from the judges, giving their verdict is based on the evidence that the judges have received from the two presidential aspirants. And that again, is some of the reason why some have also come out to criticize whether, Atiku got, the best from the legal team that he has put together, just as Peter Obi as well. But one thing we've got to remember is that it took a couple of weeks and weeks and weeks when the evidence were presented, in the court. But unfortunately, the judges haven't seen anything different from what has played out. And if you look at, this particular headline, this is coming again. Your lawyers should apologize for their bad job. This is coming from Pandef to Atiku and Peter Obi. The social cultural group Pan Niger Delta Elders yesterday say that the legal representatives of the candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and the People's Democratic Party should apologize to their client for the shoddy way they handle the presidential election manner.
Okay, so as we say, when it comes to the judiciary or the courts, evidence is the thing. Maybe they couldn't present their case the way we're supposed to. That's what is called the plans in the case. But listeners, what do you think? After that verdict, 48 hours on, how do you see it? How do you think? Two individuals forget everything and let's come together as a nation and rebuild Nigeria or what do you think about all that? To the Starr. Now let's move on. Now the defense minister has Nigerians supporting and other security heads in the country with prayer to succeed in the effort to restore peace in many troubled areas. And I was saying this morning, why don't we have one chief imam and maybe two bishops becoming the security or the spirit? See the spirit of the land. At least we know that they will pray, all right? So we have the imam praying, we have the bishops praying, and maybe the fathers and the members, they will know that this one, they get trusting God. Some way, some of our God will send angels to come and be fighting for us. But we put people there, come up with policies. Let's see that you are doing something. And we say, back you up to prayer. Come.
Well, security experts have now said that it seems that the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Baduru, to end security challenges plaguing the country, is now asking us to start praying, as prayer alone cannot fight insecurity. How and where was this said? The defense minister urged Nigerians to support him and other security aides in the country with prayers to succeed in their effort to restore peace in many troubled areas. Baduru, the Minister of Defense, actually called, these while he was in Jigawa State. He said that the security challenges and the other aspect of the national development can only but ask for prayers to succeed. Many Nigerians do not believe that prayer will be the solution to solve the menace of the insecurity in the country. I talked about the president is currently in India and is trying as much as possible to bring investors into the country. One of the areas that investors will be looking up to is the security. If they can be guaranteed the security of not just their staff, their produce, or even the services that they'll be giving to Nigeria. But what we've said so many times is that it seems that the governor, the Minister of Defense, while speaking at Jigawa State, led by traditional rulers, religious leaders, business community, and public office holder from the state on the visit, their coming was congratulated, and the minister assured of support. But the reaction is that Nigerians must have high expectation that youth will prioritize and deal with the insecurity rather than asking Nigeria to go into prayer to solve the menace of the insecurity in the country.
Well, this is quite an interesting one because most of you who appreciate you might have heard of someone, David's his strategist is known as Atiku. Now, at the point when they broke ranks, Atiku went to join David's son to fight against David. David was so scared. Why? Because he know that the guy strategically would put things in place, but we not had enough them to do anything. He said, maybe it's too motivated to work up and tell us. But if I tell you that if you need prayer, well, maybe Yummy is a religious person. I am a religious person as well. Okay? So we believe in prayers. However, maybe God will have to get some wisdom about how to go about the things and then maybe tell them where their enemies are, and maybe someday, somehow. But don't bash me. But I'm thinking that maybe I feel something that we know that this is going good. This is an effort. This is a strategy that we know can actually stop this insecurity in the country.
Well, you're quite right. I think security is not something that we have to joke with. And like I said, for any economy to boost, though there are some lapses, I've been following the case of the young man that have now fled the Wandsworth prison. That again is a security breach, and we hope that he can be arrested as quickly as possible and brought back for judgment. But then there will be a lot of review. The reason why Nigeria has been in this stage is because of the porous border. I mean, even if we are having lapses, here in UK, where many, citizens are now wondering how did the Wandsworth prison allow a prisoner to fled, the facility. The question is, how do we deal with those that are saying that they've surrendered, and then maybe they might just walk out from those facilities and nobody knows their location because there is no adequate check on them. Again, we're talking about our borders. Our borders have been left porous for a very long time, since independence. And today, many Nigerians are concerned, just as you were talking before I came on air, as many attacks is still going on within the vicinity of the FCT as well.
Listen, let's start very quickly. Just to link that up before we go to some other place. Bandits in Abuja have killed 30 and about 19 others.
Well, when we talk about the attacks, yesterday I was actually asking some of our listeners and say that, why is it taking the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to really say the way it is and call them terrorists rather than bandits? There's two different words between the bandit and terrorist. Terrorists are terrorists, and what is happening in Nigeria is not as different from what is happening with the TTK, in Pakistan / Afghanistan border. It's not as different from what is happening with the ISIS and other. We're talking about the TTK, which is the Taliban Pakistan. But it seems that Bola Tinubu, the president, is using the same glove that Buhari has not been able to call them terrorists, and that itself is a big problem. But today, we hope that Nigerians will be able to ask the Minister of Defense why we must have to pray to get a better life and secure Nigeria.
11:24 the time, Starr radio station, the Friday edition of the morning show, and at this one. Yeah. It was already open enough and the studios, enjoying the nice breeze outside, broadcasting from outside here, and then out in the studio here in the south, and we are in updates in Nigeria. But that's demonstrate some other stories. Now, the minister laments deplorable state of the Nigeria health sector. So the Minister of Health is lamenting that, and we have the former, not the former, the governor, Perigoro, who has now returned to Nigeria. So the question is, if Nigeria's health sector was in a good shape, do you think the Perigoro will have to travel outside? Well, I'm not saying that we can treat everything. No, that's not saying. There are some of the ailments that we need, the expertise are outside the country. I mean, we have people flying from this part to other parts as well. But so we know that. But when across board, the minister is now lamenting that the state of health in Nigeria is nothing to write home about. Then we have a problem. Yeah.
Well, during the regional government, what we were told was that there was an opportunity for the royal family in Saudi Arabia to come to Nigeria, mostly at the UCH for medical treatment. But that has now been reversed, as we are now getting more of our politicians in Africa, in Nigeria, that are traveling, for healthcare reasons. The question is, can we really bring, the healthcare facility to that part of the continent? And then rather than allowing them to travel, the Gabon family, I remember after so many years, the father traveled to Barcelona, died of a cardiac attack. We've seen the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, even had to be in UK to remove his tooth. And the question is, how much more do we need to allow such to happen? Yes, the minister, the governor, like you said, Akeredolu has now returned back after 3 months of spending taxpayers' money to make sure that whatever ailment that was wrong with him is treated. But from what we are getting now as well, we are now hearing that there must be adequate facility to look up to rectifying the damage between the general hospitals. We have so many of them that are dilapidated. We have so many of them that are not working expected. Many Nigerians today will not be able to get adequate health care. And part of what is going to be discussed at the G20, what I was reviewing, part of the preparation, yet there's not much agenda on the table, but 3 things will be discussed, and that is going to be the tourism, the health, and the finance, and some other global issues as well. The question is, can we have a tourism destination in Nigeria, just as many Nigerians are traveling to Turkey for medical tourism? That is not happening, and that has been lack of support from the previous government. But we hope this government this time around will do otherwise.
Okay, let's see what the government will do about that. 11:27 the time. Starr Radio UK. Well, the custodians of the law, and especially those who are shut up about the law, who am I talking about? The DSS, the SSS, has got one of its agents on a illegal duty, opening fire in an Abuja market and hitting the fashion within. Can you give us some details about this story?
Yeah, the video actually got to us just late in the evening. As we say, there's always a delay when it comes to the news update from Nigeria. Yes, the DSS agent have actually illegally opened fire in Abuja market that has now gone straight to a fashion designer and a sales girl. What do we know so far? Trigger Happy State Security Services, also known as the DSS, have now shot a fashion designer at the Gakik International Market in Abuja while having an altercation with a tailor. You might wonder what is wrong. Maybe there is a reason for DSS, going into the market to apprehend, whoever they have to apprehend. But the question is, why open these fire that can easily kill individuals? Mohammed Abibu, along with some of the other traders and individuals. The victim was identified as Mubarak, and the viral video that has been seen by myself, where the individual was shot in the leg, lying on the floor, before the police and officer trying to quell the situation. It's not the first time. Let's take you back to the NSAS. We saw what actually led to military and other security agency coming out, not just in Lagos State, in other part of the country, and killing innocent Nigerians. Let's talk about the El Zakizaki. It's not the first time that the former minister, chief of defense staff, that is now been recalled, because we know that the president have recalled all the ambassador, and I'm talking about Buratai. Buratai convoy went through a parade of the El Zakizaki when they were having their religious movement, but unfortunately it led to so many people being killed. The question is, what more can be done to stop such activities that innocent Nigerians are being killed by the happy trigger officers?
Well, that is a big question in the nature of most Nigerians this morning. There are lots of concerns. What is it that you do? Commission need to go and take such a meeting. Starr in the UK, those of you on all the other platforms, we salute each and every one of you. Let's talk about the president's G20 summit, and has he made any statement apart from the one that he made after?
Well, this morning I saw some of those industrialists that the president, traveled with, and it seems that there's already some kind of a deal, some kind of arrangement, MOU, as Nigeria moves the G20 bloc membership. Nigeria is now a member of the G20, so we hope that the president will be pushing for a membership as well. What do we know so far? Nigeria is considering applying to become a member of the G20 bloc that was founded in 1999. Economics, after concluding consultation on what is called the risk and the benefit. This is coming from the presidential spokesperson that said so on Sunday. We know that the president arrived on the invitation of the minister Narendra Modi, and we are also looking to see as many of what has already been part of the engagement. Nigeria is eyeing a massive India investment into the country, and this is coming again from the presidential spokesman, a jury that has been speaking on behalf of the government. I have no doubt that the Nigeria-Indian defense ties is going to expand. The reason is because President Bola Tinubu sees the Prime Minister Modi as a great reformer, a transformational leader of India. This is coming from a jury in Galali, the spokesperson of the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, speaking at one of the mainstream media in India already. Mr. Angali said that this massive India investment in the Nigerian defense sector, Defense Minister Rajanath Singh today met President Bola Tinubu, that has already arrived as well. So what the take out of this is going to be a lot, in line with what we are having discussion for a deal worth $1 billion to boost the defense industry in Nigeria. What is going to be the takeout? By Monday, I'll be able to give you some of what has happened as the full preparation kickstart tomorrow. Well, as we continue in the very beautiful weather, which is still the last lap of the weather before we go into the winter period, it seems that chaos is already happening within the Labour Party, as the headline says Peter Obi siphoned $15 million, 12 billion naira campaign fund to help Aburi family, also the IPOB. This is coming from Lamidi Apapa, the led faction of the Labour Party, as accepted the judgment of the Presidential Election Tribunal, which has already affirmed victory to President Bola Tinubu He was removed by the Labour Party, but it seems that the wrangling between them, has literally for some of these kind of information. Apapa, the led faction, disclosed the allegation in a statement by spokesperson Abayomi Arabambi, but the Julius Aburi group of the party have declined to respond to the claim so far. Let's go back again and look at some of what is happening when it comes to the business in Nigeria. As we continue to say, the economy of Nigeria is having a big toll. Forex earning record boost as trade surplus hit 2.22 trillion naira. But also many businesses are slowing down because of the inflation in Nigeria. Manufacturer pay over 607 billion in tax in the last 6 months is coming from the National Bureau of Statistics. We know that the president is trying to capture more when it comes to taxation in the country. But report is also linked that there is now decline in businesses due to the inflation. There's inflation around the world, but it seems that the Nigeria one is double digit. Activities of private businesses have now dipped midway through the third quarter of the year as the rising prices weakening, demanding, according to the Sambig IBTC Purchasing Manager Index report. According to the report, input costs and output charges have increased to the largest extent since the survey. I was watching the news here in UK, and some of the charges that is added into the cost of our bills as well is worth looking into. But it says that inflation again has reflected higher in transportation costs. Many Nigerians have to continue to trek due to the fact that transportation costs have increased. According to the headline, the PMI dropped for the third month, dipping to 50.2 in August and 51.7 in July, and was the lowest in the current 5-month sequence. So we will continue to monitor as many of the businesses as well. Again, not a very good news coming from Nigeria. 2 people have died at the Abeokuta-Lagos Expressway, and like you said, another terrorists have burned a Catholic Samaritan to death in Kaduna. Some terrorists in the late hours of yesterday allegedly invaded St. Raphael Parish in Fadam, Kamatan, Kafancha Diocese in the southern Kaduna. Not just killed, but raised during the incident. The Dalami, who was the Samaritan, was caught in the infirmary. His remains has since now been deposited at the mortuary. Again, these are so many of the activities that is happening as well in Nigeria. Now let's take one more and then we go straight to the social media as it's just coming up to 10:35. Once again, economic crunch. The Nigeria Coronational Services substitute cat meat for beef in Maduguri prison. I don't know how they've been able to catch as many cats and turn them into the meat. It seems that the animal welfare in the UK not pleased with such a news. There's already they were asked by the newly appointed chief warder and the deputy superintendent Usman Boko to henceforth catch, slaughter, and eat any cat and kitten that they have come across inside the yard of the custodial center as a substitute for the government-provided beef. What a very sad one. Well, it seems that those outside cannot have 3 square meals, so you can imagine those in the prison also now eating cats as against the beef. Let's take one more. And like I said, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Tinubu government, the Secretary George Akume has fallen sick and has now been flown to Germany for medical care. According to the report, the former Benue State governor was flown to Germany and had been in a European country for the last 5 days. The Secretary to the government of the Federation, the SGF, Senator George Akume, that was appointed by President Bola Tinubu, has fallen ill and has now been flown abroad for urgent medical treatment. According to the report learned from top presidential sources, that Akume, that was a former Benue State governor, has been flown to Germany. Remember that Germany was the same country that Akeredolu flew to and has now returned. Tinubu SGF is presently ill and is out of the country, and he has now been flown. So again, part of the medical treatment or tourism treatment that happens, as many of the politicians and government officials have the same opportunity, but many Nigerians do not have the same as well. There is a court martial for 14 officers and 9 soldiers in Nigeria taking place in Abuja, according to the report. The garrison commander, in his inaugural speech, assured the accused persons that justice will be done to all parties. We're going to move straight to the social media, as again, the weather is really beautiful right under my head. As I continue to see that it seems that the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, have now landed in Delhi. Remember that he's from India and is the first Indian heritage to become the Prime Minister here in the UK. So we're going to monitor that as well. But again, as many Nigerians are still, finding out what actually happened when it comes to the outcome of the election tribunal, King Maker have now installed a pastor as the son of Ogbomoso, according to the traditional rite in Ibadan, Oyo State as well. Now, what is actually trending this morning? It seems that not much is trending, but it looks like Atiku is trending this morning. And like I said, so many Nigerians are still trying to figure out the outcome of the result that took place on Wednesday. Once again, Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Wow, that's a sunny day here in London. Temperature is getting up to about 29 or thereabout. Like I said in the studio, yes, it's showing me that it's about 30 degrees out there. But it's a bit cloudy. I'm inside of both very nice. It's enjoying some vitamin, getting some vitamin. Out to the weekend and everything before. So now, impressively, the president did make a statement pertaining to women church attacks. Now, what you are talking about, what do you call it, a parish where it was set on ablaze and people in there died. I mean, what has been the reaction from the government or from the state government?
Well, Kaduna is not new to some of us. That was the former Governor El Rufai state. And again, it's the same state that El Rufai stated in a video that went out, spoken in Hausa, that there will never be a Christian governor, in that particular state. Southern Kaduna, we know, is more of a Christian, but it seems that, the state government have not been able to do much. One of the reasons why El Rufai was not, from the Senate was because of the security concern that has happened in his own state, and he eventually pulled out as one of the ministers for this current administration. So the government have not responded yet, but what we can say is that it seems that the state itself would have to do more to prevent such attack. This attack is not new, especially in southern Kaduna and Benue State, where there has been a lot of attack. Remember that we had similar attack in Ondo State, where terrorists were able to invade the church, kill many worshippers, and left many in a very sad situation, looking after their health as we speak today. At the St. Francis Church in Owo, Ondo State, southwest Nigeria.
Well, listeners, this is Starr Radio.
Well, as we leave you again in the good hands of Archie to take care of the rest of the program, remember that Monday we'll be able to give you some of the highlight from the G20. Is important as the membership that Nigeria government is looking for. We'll be able to tell you more about that. We couldn't get any membership yet on the BRICS. Will the membership happen on the G20? Time will tell. Again, as many Nigerians continue to see if the government will be able to provide the adequate, resources to enable a better life, we can only say, as you continue to move from point A to B in Nigeria, you have to also be very vigilant But for now, the Star Radio UK will continue with Archie when I'll be back on Monday morning at exactly 11 o'clock. Have a very great weekend. My name is Olami Koiki. Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Thank you very much, Yomi, and have a lovely weekend. We'll catch up later. Listeners, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio.
Wow, we're dying. We'll disconnect the iPhone because it was very whether only it get us a bit. Our phone is more strong. These two phones will shut it down. Wow. Thanks so much for those of you that are still watching. I think we have people that are African Confidential, my brother. How you doing, man? And then those of you on the Twitter space. Again, we only have one job on our own platform, and that job is to educate many Nigerians. I might have to go downstairs in as much as I want to enjoy the weather, but it's really boiling outside. My two phones are holding. I think the Samsungs are doing very well, but the iPhone is not doing very well. It's actually shut down the TikTok. Nigerians' expectation is high. You can hear that they have to take your SGF to Germany for medical treatment. No be juju be that. When a Nigerian is going to learn, and I'm sure the news in Nigeria will not tell you this anyway. I mean, nobody wants to die. Nobody pray for people to be sick. But why must the SGF, George Akume, as Akeredolu is returning back to Nigeria after so many days in Germany, about 3 months, not days. Akume, the SGF, is running to Germany. And the question again to Nigeria is, are you sure that this country is really for me and you? That is the question. But many Nigerians still believe that there is hope. Well, you have the right to believe that there is hope in Nigeria. But like I said earlier in my first broadcast this morning, the hope that you have in Nigeria is diminishing every day. How soon Nigeria is going to fall apart, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that many Nigerians will not be able to succeed. Not because you can't succeed, it's because the current state of situation in Nigeria. Let's go back to the business report coming out from the paper today that I talked about. Inflation is here in UK. Inflation is everywhere. But Nigeria did not prepare for the kind of inflation that is hitting you back to back. I was actually telling Nigerians, if you were watching me this morning, Titus, fish, mackerel, has to be brought all the way from Northern Ireland. That for me is no. Where we have on those states, we have a lot of water. You know that the riverine in Niger Delta was destroyed by multinational companies by allowing crude oil to damage the fishing riverine. But you can bring fish all the way from Northern Ireland, frozen fish, get to Nigeria, and then they will sell it back to you. Most of you are eating frozen fish from Northern Ireland. Pomo, you know the pomo? I was saying that this morning. Some people were saying it's coming from north. I'm not arguing that it's not coming from north. The percentage of what you are eating is coming from Sudan. We have people that work in Apapa and they're telling us exactly what comes in that I can share with you and what comes out from Nigeria. Mokek Bombi, Triple DRS, and those of you that are joining us all the way around the world. So, once again, as much as I would love to sit outside and enjoy this beautiful weather, but it seems it's getting too much on me, so I might have to end the broadcast and come back later. So, but I want to talk about the decline businesses to inflation. Inflation happens when you do not prepare, but Nigerian government is using inflation from the fact that there's COVID and the world is in crisis. So, in a layman, what do we mean by inflation? Inflation in a layman. What is inflation? Let me tell you what I know according to information in front of me. See. Shout out to those of you that are watching us and those of you that are listening to me as well. The weather, it get as it be. I need to go get something to drink. The weather get as it be. I'm not joking. So, thank you so much for those of you that have hold on. According to, or in economics, inflation is an increase in money supply causing the consumer price index, CPI, to increase. When the general price level rises, each unit of the currency buys fewer goods and services. Consequently, inflation corresponds to a reduction in the purchasing power of money. And I hope some of you understand